Hey everybody, and welcome to Leia's Lair. Here's our discussion of Disney Gallery The Mandalorian Season 1, Episode 3, Cast. Alright, so this episode opens up with a roundtable discussion featuring Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, and the cast consisting of Pedro Pascal, Gina Carano, and Carl Weathers.
Mm-hmm. So it's kind of interesting. We get to kind of hear all the different takes on what it was like to kind of be in The Mandalorian from the cast, as well as from Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau and the decisions that were made as filming went along. One of the main things that they were discussing was how difficult it was to display emotion and make that sort of human connection with no eyes and just a mask for Pedro Pascal.
Yeah. And whenever anyone was trying to act opposite to him, they just found it hard to read what was really going on because they couldn't read the actual facial cues and they couldn't see his eyes, so they just couldn't really act based on how he was acting. It was just kind of based on what they had from, I guess, the script.
So yeah, it's a little more challenges with acting with not face to face. But it was cool. They talked about how actually less was more. So they didn't really have Pedro do a lot of movements because any sort of subtle movements would be used to kind of portray his emotion. So we get a lot of that. He's very stiff and rigid and doesn't really do too much. And maybe it's just a slight head tilt that really gives you that sort of pensive in thought, scene. So it's definitely a great way that they've used to display emotion. I feel like he captured it perfectly. I mean, when we watched it, I couldn't believe how well he was as an actor without even seeing his face.
Yeah, totally. And how just because he would do such little movement, when he did do something, it just meant so much more.
Exactly. And it also talked about how Mando actually had two other actors.
Yeah, that was wild. I guess it kind of makes sense. I didn't really think Pedro Pascal did all his stunts, but yeah. I didn't know there was three different guys who were essentially Mando.
Yeah, I might have thought they would have made one more for stunts, and then that was it. But yeah, no, they had an actor for guns and for fighting, so that was really cool.
Meaning Pedro Pascal got to do all the cool walking.
Yeah, he got to do all the subtle movements, and everyone else is doing all the vivid ones.
I like how they also talk about how even though Mando was three different actors, it's when the other actors in the show were acting with one of the Mandos, it was not it was three different actors. It was just one all-encompassing Mando, even though he was made up of three different guys.
Yeah, well, that's what kind of Gina was saying in the video. She's kind of saying, when I think of Mando, I think of all three of you. She's like, you all bring something to the character, and it's all encompassing. So it's not just one of them, but they all have that aspect that makes Mando this one individual.
I also thought it was pretty interesting that they pre-recorded Mando's voice, which again makes sense to me now that I look back on it, but I didn't really think about it at the time when I was watching. I just assumed that was just him speaking live, but nope. Sure enough, it's Pedro Pascal recording. I also thought it was pretty funny, the scene where Mando takes his helmet off and he's so bloody and injured, and I guess there was quite the story behind that. So I guess Pedro Pascal had been going to get his makeup done in the trailer or whatever, and I guess when he left the trailer, he walked into, what was it, a beam or a door or something.
Walked into something.
And then he bloodied up his entire face and actually had to go to the hospital. Yeah. So they said that they took him to the hospital, but he had all this bloody makeup on because they were getting ready for the scene where they take off his helmet. Yeah. And they got him in so quick because they thought
get in, hurry. Yeah, that was funny. I think he said he had 7 stitches, and yeah, he already had all this blood on, and even Gina was like, oh yeah, I thought that the blood looked so real, but then I saw him holding his nose, and I was like, oh no.
Oh no, maybe it is real.
Yeah, so that was a pretty funny story. I like that one.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah. And it was also funny, he just outs all his past employees. He's like, oh yeah, there's times where I'd go on set and if I fall off something and that's it, I'm gone for. And then he's and then here I get injured. He's I've never gone to the hospital. And here I just walk into a post and go.
And off to the hospital I go.
Yeah, so that was funny.
And then we move on to more of the Gina Carano kind of perspective in Mando, and I thought it was pretty interesting that she didn't even have to audition for the part. The part was basically like hers. They found her from another movie. They're like, we want her, and they got her, and that is Cara Dune.
Yeah, and it's really cool. We get a big portion of this episode talk about Gina Carano and how she's like an actual fighter, you know, and how she's just an inspiration to kind of all young females out there, and you know, she's been in real fights. So you can see it carry over into her acting, you know. It's like pretending to be tough or actually knowing that you're tough. And that's what kind of they were talking about, which I thought was really cool.
I also really liked how she said that this was like the first time she really felt like, I think it was like she was the character. Like she just felt comfortable in her own skin as being this character. And I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's like this role had like almost made her not just accept who she was, but love herself more.
Totally.
Almost. That's what the kind of vibe I was getting from it, which is like really cute. I mean, who doesn't like that?
I just love this like table too, because it's like she's so badass. Like she's like a fighter. She's so like built and strong and such like a strong character. And she's just sitting at this table with a bunch of Star Wars nerds. And it's so funny.
Yeah, she probably can kick most of their asses.
Oh, absolutely.
maybe not Apollo Creed, but yeah, I thought it was really cool too, because they're like, oh yeah, you know, we actually realized how strong she was when she was able to carry like Pedro Pascal into the screen. Yeah, I was like, wow, like yeah, just lift that whole.
She just picked him up and carried him off.
So that was really cool.
Yeah, she's so cool.
And yeah, then they talk about Carl Weathers, who's an absolute legend. You know, Apollo Creed. And my personal favorite character from Mandalorian. I just I'm so glad that they didn't kill off his character like they said they were going to do.
Yeah, that was wild. Like in episode 3 when he gets shot, he was just supposed to like die and that was it. But they just realized that he was too cool to kill off, so they just kept him alive.
Yeah, it's cool. Like he was only supposed to be in episodes I think 1 and 3. And he was also supposed to be an alien. And they're like, what are we doing? We have this legend. We're not going to make him an alien. And yeah, like his character was just too much. They wanted to keep him. So, and I'm so glad that they did, because I love his character. So
Me too.
I can't wait for more Carl Weathers in season 2.
I know. I honestly think that he had probably the best one-liners in the whole season.
Oh yeah. Very, very cool guy. Yeah, they're talking about how a lot of the sort of alien prosthetics and original prototypes that they had for the Mandalorian kind of got scrapped. Like they said they were trying to film things and the actors couldn't see out of the masks and all this.
Mando couldn't fit into the booth with his armor on.
The original Mando armor couldn't fit into the booth. Yeah, there's just like, so that was pretty cool kind of hearing like the changes that they made as they're going on, or like, you know, even Pedro Pascal and then rewriting the lines as they're doing all the recordings. Yeah, it's really cool to kind of hear like those behind the scenes moments and see that, you know, everything wasn't like going to plan all the time, but they had to roll with the punches, and that's is really cool. And yeah, you can just tell that this cast has like a fun time together.
Totally, you can. So. I feel like being on the set of this show would have just had like such good vibes. Would have been so fun. Like,
yeah, I really liked too how they would like Gina was saying, you know, oh, she should go to, I think it was John, and he would just tell her like, you know, like, look at Carl Weathers. He's a legend. Just like, look at how he carries himself and all this, and like inspire her. Or if she couldn't get a scene and she would go talk to Carl Weathers, and she's like, oh yeah, he would just be reading his newspaper and be like, oh, you know what happens to the best of us, and you know, just so chill. So yeah, very, very cool episode.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was nice to kind of hear behind the scenes what the actors thought about it too, and how that part of the show came together. And there you have it. Thanks for watching, everyone. What did you think of this episode? Let us know down below in the comment section. And remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more great videos to come. We hope to see you all again in Leia's Lair.
You are not a Jedi yet.